Yo, what is up guys? Grim here, and today I want to give you guys a few tips about the chaos recipe. So a lot of people have been asking me, so how did you get all your currency? How did you get that money for the headhunter and all that good stuff? So I'm going to go into detail about a few tips and tricks I personally use when I'm playing solo and a few tips and groups how I do the chaos recipe. So we're going to go over that now, and I'm going to give you a quick disclaimer here. You're going to need a few things before we get started here, and a few of them are a little bit annoying as well. So to begin with, you're going to need some patience. The chaos recipe isn't a zoom zoom go fast kind of playstyle. You have to slow down a bit. You can make it quick, but you won't be going as fast as you normally will be, and you're going to have a bit of downtime to actually hand in all the recipes. So it's going to require a bit of patience. Next up, you're going to need an absolute ton of stash space. So stash space in this game is not free. You have to pay money for it. So I know it's a little bit unfair, but that's just how it goes. If you don't already have it, I wouldn't recommend buying it just for this. Just play the game a different way. This is just something you do with all that stash space you have. So I have a ton of quad tabs here, obviously, which I use for the chaos recipe. I mean, you don't necessarily need quad tabs, but it speeds up and makes the process much more efficient. So that's what I would recommend having, and we can get straight into it. So what the chaos recipe is. The chaos recipe is essentially getting one of each rare item of a slot in, like on a character sheet, rare and unidentified. In addition, it also needs to be item level 68 plus. And if you get all of these things together, and then you sell it to a vendor, you'll notice you'll be able to acquire 2 Chaos Orbs for that, which is a lot of money to a lot of new players, but it's also a lot of money if you do a lot of them very quickly and efficiently. And that's what we're going to be going over today. So, very, very good. Not bad at all. So there's a few problems which have made the chaos recipe traditionally very, very bad. And a lot of people say it's a noob trap, it's very slow and very poor way of making currency. However, in my opinion, this is not the case. So let's go over those bottlenecks now. So to begin with, obviously you need a lot of different types of items, and you need to get them all to drop. So in Path of Exile, rare rings, amulets, and belts are much rarer than all the other item slots. So while you might be overflowing with tons of chest pieces and stuff, you might be missing a lot of rings and amulets. So you need to have enough increased item rarity and quantity to be able to get enough of these rings and amulets to be able to consistently do enough chaos recipes and have enough materials to hand in the recipes constantly. So the first tip is get increased item rarity and quantity. Increased item quantity is always going to be the priority here, so you want to make sure you prioritize that over everything else. And then if you can, in some other ways, get increased item rarity, that's going to give you even more rares to hand into the chaos recipe. So a few good ways to get this is by using the increased item rarity gem. Anyone can do this. If you have a fighting link and you're doing enough damage, you just slot that in, take out one of your damage things and put that in there instead. If you're using a 6 link, obviously it's even better. You don't have to worry about any damage. And because you only need 68 plus, you can actually do white maps and be able to get all of the needed materials for this recipe, no problem. So damage shouldn't be an issue, so you can use the increased item rarity gem, which is going to do very well for you. So that's getting enough items solved. You should have a lot of kind of items dropping when you have lots of increased item quantity and rarity. But if you still want to get it even further, you can actually invite a buddy or a few buddies, and then you'll get even more rares. So many more so that you'll actually be able to do even more chaos recipes than you normally would be able to. So that's the first bottleneck. The second bottleneck is picking up the items. So in PoE, picking up items is the main thing that slows you down. And you need to have a very good filter to be able to do this. So a big problem with the chaos recipe is obviously you need one of each piece. And you don't want to over pick up one piece and then be lacking in another one and fill up your stash full of one piece that you just have too many of. So you need a system where you can kind of pick up only chest pieces or only boots and only the right boots and rings and amulets and stuff like that. And I'm going to give you a solution to that in a second. But this is a big problem that has slowed a lot of people down and turned a lot of people off it. So next up, you need to be able to sort the items from your stash. So the best way to do this is, in my opinion, instead of just depositing items slowly into the different tabs and stuff like that when you get back, you want to have a dump tab, which will allow you to dump everything from your inventory in here and then go back into the next map and just keep doing this until it's full. And then you can do what a lot of people do is just withdraw all the boots. So you'll be like, okay, where are all the boots? Bang, 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 bang. And you pick all the boots out and stick it in a different tab. So that's what I do. We'll go into this in a little bit more detail in a second. And lastly, vendoring the items to the stash. So this means getting them out of your stash. You want to have a pretty good setup, so you want to go bang, withdraw really quickly, get them all in your inventory, sell them to the vendor as fast as possible, like so click as fast as you can, and you want to try and make each hand in as fast as possible. It's going to be more chaos for you in the long run, and it's going to make this all the better, and you're going to make even more money. So the faster you can get all of these things done and the more efficient you can get them done, it literally just translates into raw chaos because there's such an overabundance of rares that the faster you go, the more you'll make. So let's go from the top then. Getting enough items to drop. Incursion has solved this problem easily. And again, if you're using increased item quantity and rarity and teaming up, you're going to have so many rares. If you've ever done an incursion right now, you'll see that there's just like literally a volcano of rares coming out of that like little time portal thing. So what I tend to do is I jump into the map, I clear the whole map like normal, pick up all the currency items, and when I get to the incursion, I make sure I clear all of it, and then when I get out, I'll just fill up on those rares. I don't have to worry about picking anything else up. So just pick up all the rares from the incursion and you're pretty much good to go. Secondly, because the rarest items are rares, rings and amulets and belts, I always pick them up. It doesn't matter where they are. They're really small. They can fit in the inventory very easily, as you can see here. They can go down the bottom here on the sides. You'll be able to pick up those rings constantly, and you're going to want to pick them up constantly because that's the hard part. So that's going to be really good, and you're going to have a really good time with that. Secondly, okay, now, picking up items. We talked about it a little bit before, but let's say you pick up like just random pieces. You're going to end up with an overabundance of one of them, and that's going to slow you down so much. So here's what I do and what I recommend. You need to have multiple loot filters. So at a base, what you want your loot filter to do is show all rare amulets, all rare rings, and all rare belts as standard. Pick them all up. They are good. You want them. Next up, what you want to do is make sure you have a filter which just shows all of those three things and one other type of rare. So like, let's say rings, amulets, belts, and helmets. And then you'll pick up all the helmets and all that stuff, get it all off the ground, and then you'll deposit it into your quad tab. And then at the end, after you've got enough helmets and you think you're satisfied, you'll take all of them out. And what you'll do is you'll deposit them into a helmets tab. Like you can see here, mine's pretty empty right now. But you just get a full quad tab of helmets. There's so many helmets. So when you're sitting down at the end, you just go through and machine gun all of them into the vendor. So you do that for helmets, and then next up you'll make another filter, this time with chest pieces. Get all the chest pieces, dump them in the quad tab, and you'll be pretty good to go. Do this for all the different item slots. If you're particularly efficient, you can do multiple items at once, if you so choose, but I like to do one at a time, so it doesn't interfere too much with my gameplay, and that works pretty well for me. So I get all those, throw them in the stash, then I'm good to go. I have the items I need. So now you've got like 7 quad tabs of items, and you're like, woo, okay, I can start handing them in. Yes, you can. Just another quick tip. For the chaos recipe, you can either have 2 one-handeds, or you can have 1 two-hander. I like to go with the two-hander, specifically bows, and the reason for that is because when you go to the quad tab, you can just type in bow, and it'll show all the bows. We'll get to that in a second though. So next, bottleneck, sorting the items in your stash. So if you're doing what we did earlier, you should only have one type of item, which will make this a lot easier. But traditionally, a lot of people just pick up all the rares. They're like, oh, look at all these rares. Pick them all up, throw them in the quad tab. That's actually going to hurt you really big time here, because you're going to notice when you get into sorting the items, you can't just be like, oh, gloves. You'll see, look, oh no, what's going on here? It's not highlighting all the gloves. That's because you can't actually search up rare gloves, unfortunately, which is a problem. So what you will have to do is you'll be like, okay, I'll search the gloves, now I'll search mitts, and now I'll search gauntlets, and that's really, really annoying. But if you only pick up one item base at a time, you can just look at the pictures. You can be like, oh, okay, so I'm going to pick up look at all the ones here with all the glove icons, bang, 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 grab them all out, throw them in a different quad tab. But that can get kind of confusing if you have lots of different base types. So that's tip number 1. Next up, in addition to that, obviously you want to be able to type in like that. And here's another tip as well. You can actually type in unid rare, and what that'll show you is all the items which are unidentified and rares. So it won't get confused now with 6 socket items a lot of the time that you're picking up. It won't get confused with uniques, and it'll give you a little bit more of an idea of which ones you're trying to pull out. That's what I do a lot, and I really, really like doing it. So that's going to be just sorting out your stash. You're going to want to move all those into separate tabs so you can easily machine gun them out and then into the vendor, and you'll be pretty good to go. So next up, vendoring the items. So personally, what I just do is I go along here and I go bang, okay, I need a chest piece. I grab them all out. Hold on, let me put these back. I'll just dump these in this tab here. And I'll show you guys exactly what I do. Okay, so I start off at the start here. So I've got chest pieces. So I grab one of these, grab one of these, grab one of those, two of these. I just go along here, picking out all of the things I need. And then, okay, so we've got everything. I don't have belts right now, but you get the point. And then I just go over to the vendor, sell, bang, 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 really quick, and then we're good to go. That's 2 chaos. If you can get that down to 10 to 15 to 20 seconds, 2 chaos for 10 to 15 to 20 seconds, plus a few minutes for stash management at the end of like 10 or 20 maps, you're going to make like a lot of currency. And just to show that off here, I want to kind of just show you, like, okay, so with the chest pieces here, I'm pretty sure this is about 80 chest pieces. If I hand in 80 chaos recipes from these chest pieces, which is very doable, obviously, I want to make 160 chaos off that. And this is just from like a play session. Obviously, it's a fairly long play session with full magic find gear, but it's pretty easy to do. Just go, okay, so 20 maps of chest pieces, pick them all up into the stash. 20 maps of helmets into the stash. And you just kind of machine gun through them. Okay, so with selling, there is a quick thing I want to mention here. There is a sort of weird thing you can do, which allows you to sell from your stash. This was posted on Reddit about 2 or 3 months ago, I think. GGG are well aware of it. It got upvoted a lot on Reddit. It has about 30,000 views on YouTube right now. You guys can go check it out. I'm not sure what GGG's stance on it is. They've never announced anything here. I would not compare it directly to something like the Elder Loop or like the Calm's Divination Box, but it's definitely within the game. Anyone can do it. It's not using a macro or a bot or anything like that. So whether or not it's against terms of service is completely up in the air here. Maybe just if you're a bit worried, don't use it. But my team has used it, and we're all still here, so it should be fine. But yeah, if you're worried, don't use it. I'm not going to show it on here because I don't want to advertise it if it is against the TOS. But the YouTube video is there if you guys want to go check it out. That's all on you. But yeah, that'll speed it up even more if you guys want to use that. But yeah, I personally don't use it. I just sit here and watch a stream while I'm doing it and just bang them all in, and it's just fine. It takes me about 20 seconds per recipe, and it's just chill while I'm watching one of my favorite streams. So that's going to be that, and now I want to cover real quickly how you can even take this to the next level in groups. So grouping is going to make this far better. So much so that it actually makes it one of the best ways to make money, in my opinion, in the early leagues of the game. So as I've said in a lot of other videos, the chaos price in the early league is inflated massively. So at the start of the league, an exalted orb is going to be worth like 30 chaos, and other people like want to sell fusings for 4 fusings for 1 chaos, which is an insane price. So much so that makes chaos recipe, as we just said then, so much more valuable. So if you actually look at it, if you do 15 chaos recipes at the start of a league, you'll get an exalted orb, which is completely mind-blowing, right? So chaos recipe is highly inflated, people want it, they need it, and they are willing to pay for it. So if you're just sitting here banging out chaos recipe, then you're going to make a lot of exalts early on, which is how we got our headhunters so easily. So how is this going to apply to groups? So when you're in groups, remember how we said you're going to pick up one type at a time. So one guy's going to be picking up weapons, one guy's going to be picking up helmets. That's what you're going to do. So in our situation, I was picking up gloves and boots. I was the gloves and boot guy, and that was pretty good. So we had one guy obviously picking up the rings, amulets, and belts. I was picking up gloves and boots. Someone else was doing helmets. Someone else was doing weapons and chest pieces. And then we had one guy in our hideout doing the chaos recipe non-stop. We would just feed him so many rares. He was like a machine. He was just churning rares in, turning it into chaos orbs. And it was just like money flowing out the end of the machine. And we made 47 exalts in one day. Obviously not all from chaos recipe, but a lot of it was from that, which was extremely powerful, and how we got it so quickly. And the team was able to get their headhunter, and we were very happy with that. And we've used that headhunter to get everyone else a lot of their gear, which is pretty cool. So very, very cool. Very, very, very fun to do the chaos recipe as a part of a team. You'll get more items, obviously, as part of a team as well, so more rares and stuff like that, and it's just going to be a lot more efficient and fast. So that's the chaos recipe, guys. Hopefully you have enjoyed. A bit of a longer video here, but I had a lot to talk about. I think it's very undervalued, but would I use it right now? I would use it in a group for sure. If it's a pretty try-hard strategy, it's a little bit tedious. If you're just chilling out, wanting to do some maps, you don't have to necessarily do it. But if you're try-harding to get an item, it's definitely worth looking into. It is a fairly bit, it's a bit tedious, but yeah, if you can put that past you and you want that currency, specifically in the early league, go for it. It's very well worth it. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video, this little min-max session. Like if you like. Check out the next one coming up. It should be a good one. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Catch you later.